We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening, we discuss the queer headlines. The U.S. Supreme Court upheld birthright citizenship, blocking Trump's order limiting automatic citizenship. The ruling protects immigrant families, including LGBTQ parents, asylum seekers, and mixed-status households under the 14th Amendment.
A new national survey found 2/3 of LGBTQ+ students feel unsafe at school, with widespread harassment, discrimination, and bathroom restrictions. This contributes to avoidance, fear, and declining engagement in education.
Melania Trump reaffirmed support for LGBTQ+ rights while also backing the Supreme Court ruling allowing states to restrict transgender girls from school sports.
Niger's new anti-LGBTQ+ law reportedly triggered dozens of arrests, forcing many into hiding, disrupting HIV services and drawing international condemnation as human rights groups demand the law's repeal.
All this important LGBTQ+ news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily television news show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached more than 12 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Thursday, July 2nd. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America. Hotspots happening out South Florida. In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 14,000 LGBTQ television stories.
We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine, events, television, news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. Welcome to the show, Gregg. Girl, how you doing?
Well, I am tickled pink to be here with y'all, and I'd like to take this opportunity to wish my husband, Rick, a happy 32nd anniversary of our second of 4 weddings. Tomorrow is our anniversary, so I wanted to do that.
Yay.
And I also want to remember to wish everyone a happy National I Forgot Day. Look it up. Really, it exists.
4 weddings.
4 weddings. No funeral yet.
Well, will Hill Grant be at the funeral? But also congratulations to your to the Illinois governor,
Yes.
since you're
very proud.
enshrined in the Chicago.
We don't live there anymore, but yes, we're very proud.
Let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, and casting. He's also a board member of the West Side Association. Larry, Explore the Art of Vanishing at Wilton Manors Book Club is on July 8th. Tell me, what's happening out?
Absolutely, Alex. Well, as many of you know, if you watch me on the show, I do like to promote events in the greater Fort Lauderdale area, especially Wilton Manors. And since our library is run by the city and funded by the city, I think it's important to get out there and support them as often as we can. So readers are invited to the Adult Island City Book Club this upcoming Wednesday, July 8th, 2026 at 6:30 at the Wilton Manors Public Library. This month's featured novel, The Art of Vanishing by Morgan Pager, is a magical realism tale exploring art, identity, memory, and human connection through the story of a man trapped inside a Matisse painting and the museum custodian who awakens him. The free monthly gathering welcomes both long-term members and first-time attendees for an engaging discussion. Learn more at wiltonmanors.gov. So again, I encourage folks, maybe you're looking for a good summer read or just a social, maybe hopefully it's not raining all week next week, but it's a good way to get out. Also to support our local library. Again, it's currently funded by the city of Wilton Manors. I hope that it stays independent from the county, certainly bringing a wider variety of uncensored books.
I love libraries, I love book clubs, and more than that, I love people who read books. Thank you for reading.
No, it sounds like a great book. Well, first of all, I'm a big Matisse fan. After Pablo Picasso, he's like one of the fathers of modern art, and it's just great to see the story. Great to see it happening at the Wilton Manors Library. It's a wonderful library. It shouldn't be a radical statement to say that we love the Wilton Manors Library.
And I mean, I am still trying to figure out how a person can exist inside a Matisse painting. I mean, the general aesthetic of Matisse, as everyone knows, is a bit flat and 2D. So it's not like it's an impressionist painting. It'll be easy.
Read the book.
Yeah, it'll be easier to exist in a Surratt, but never mind. I'll read the book.
That is food for thought. And Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Wilton Manors Public Library on July 8th. Let's welcome anchor Dr. Bobby Huen, a world traveler and versatile in global affairs. Bobby provides an international perspective on current events. A PhD in conflict resolution, Bobby is a certified civil and family mediator and the founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. Welcome to the show, Bobby. How you been?
Thank you, and thank you for welcoming me, Alex. How are you? I mean,
I'm doing peachy, but the people get to ask me when I get introduced how I'm doing. I'll tell you all about it. All
right. Well, I've been trying to explore another side of professional. Another side of profession recently, and I've been developing code, with the help of AI. But hopefully, I can find something that actually that I can build so that I can help people resolve disputes even faster.
Nice.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you, boys. I'm so happy to be here. For those that I just had a whole big whirlwind trip in D.C. Oh my goodness. I got to meet one of our own Floridians, Maxwell Frost, the congressman. He's a sweetie pie. I tried to go to the reflecting pool, but I didn't make it. I wanted to see the green. I will tell you though, for real, every park had like 2 National Guardsmen there. And for y'all know how hard, and they really harassed me. They were so busy talking amongst themselves that I probably could have like gone in there with like an AK-47. They wouldn't have even noticed. So your money at work, tax dollars at work, kids.
Well, we can't blame the guardsmen. I mean, after all, they were just summoned there to do a job by an administration who don't know what they're doing.
I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up the USA view. Supreme Court upholds birthright citizenship in major defeat for Trump administration order. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled 6-3 to preserve birthright citizenship, striking down President Donald Trump's executive order that sought to deny automatic citizenship to many children born on U.S. soil. The decision reinforces protections under the 14th Amendment and is expected to have broad implications for immigrant families, including LGBTQ families with immigrant parents. Trump's order would have prevented the federal government from recognizing the citizenship of children born in the United States if neither parent was a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. LGBTQ advocates have long warned that immigrant same-sex couples, transgender parents, asylum seekers, and mixed-status families could face additional legal uncertainty if birthright citizenship were narrowed. For writing for the majority, Chief Justice John Roberts said, quote, "Citizenship then and now was the right to have rights, to freely participate in our political community. The framers of the 14th Amendment extended that promise to every freeborn person in this land. We keep that promise today," end quote. The ruling is seen as a significant setback for the Trump administration's immigration agenda and preserves a long-standing constitutional protection affecting children born to immigrant parents and LGBTQ people seeking asylum in the United States after fleeing persecution because of sexual orientation or gender identity. Well, it's nice to know that the Supreme Court can at least read basic English. I am not a constitutional scholar, I'm not a lawyer, but I did do poli-sci in undergrad and grad school. And in poli-sci Constitutional 101, they teach you this. The kids at undergraduate freshmen, so between your beer hungover, you learn things like, if you're born in this country, you're a citizen. Yeah. This is like the most basic thing. I can't believe that we need to have a case for this. That being said, it is kind of a shame that they ruled this way because, you look at how the Republicans were talking about not just deporting a few people. They were, honest to God, they wanted to deport 100 million people. And I'm like, well, why don't the Democrats talk about, we see how we can now, in places like Florida, you can declare groups you don't like a terrorist organization. Why not declare the Republican Party a terrorist organization and deport its tens of millions of members to another country? I'm thinking Siberia.
Well, I think that this ruling is a fitting tribute to the 250th anniversary of the United States. But also, one of the reasons stated by the administration is that, birthright citizenship is a rare thing. It doesn't exist in countries. But here are the countries that support birthright citizenship: Canada, Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, and also Caribbean nations, including Jamaica, and, the sworn enemy of the United States, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Barbados, and others. And most of the countries in the Americas support some kind of birthright citizenship. But often the administration points to places like Europe and Asia where ancestry decides on the citizenship. For example, in China, if I go back to China right now, China can arrest me and treat me as a dissident because because of my Chinese DNA, I'll be considered a Chinese citizen regardless of where I want to pledge my allegiance. That's how it works. But for me, this ruling is a significant ruling because, for one thing, this time the textual, plain reading of the Constitution worked. Every time, remember, the conservatives like to blame judges to creatively read the Constitution so that, they can carve out things like rights, pro-choice, Roe v. Wade before it was overturned, or Obergefell versus Hodges, which enshrined the rights of gay marriage. But then the conservative screams, "That's not in the Constitution!" And now that the plain reading of the Constitution supported our side, they are now saying that, how dare you read the Constitution in its original form?
Could there be any more joy-inducing words in the English language than significant setback for Trump? Well, isn't that beautiful? Let's just say it together.
Significant setback to Trump.
Yeah.
And if I could just add, to complement what's been said at this table, interestingly enough, some people who've enjoyed birthright citizenship, so you wonder why this all started with the Trump administration, Marco Rubio, Usha Vance, Ajit Pai, Kash Patel, yes, Ted Cruz, Lori Chavez, Nikki Haley, just to name a few.
Yeah, it's a
Look at you, Larry. You've been like all feisty with your takes lately.
Guess who's also birthright citizen? Baron Trump.
Yes. Oh,
Because he was born
right.
to a foreign national. At least half of them.
Send them back.
Exactly.
I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up students and youth culture. 2/3 of LGBTQ plus students say they feel unsafe at schools in the U.S. A new national survey has found that 2/3 of queer students in the United States say they feel unsafe at school because of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. The findings come from GLSEN, an organization dedicated to creating safe and respectful learning environments for students of all sexual orientations, gender identities, gender expressions, races, and abilities. The data is part of GLSEN's 13th National School Climate Survey, which gathered responses from LGBTQ plus K-12 students during the 2024-25 school year, including intersex, asexual, and two-spirit students. According to the survey, only 1 in 3 LGBTQ plus students said they frequently or often look forward to going to school. Among transgender and gender expansive students, 86% said they avoided certain areas of their school. The survey also found widespread harassment. 62% of students reported harassment because of their sexual orientation, while 69% experienced harassment related to their gender identity or gender expression. Nearly half of BIPOC LGBTQ plus students said they experienced harassment because of their race or ethnicity. The survey also found that more than half of students faced LGBTQ plus related discrimination, including being prevented from using locker rooms that matched their gender identity. Over 40% said they were punished for using bathrooms aligned with their gender, and over 60% reported avoiding school bathrooms altogether. Well, I'm going to say, I'm not sure how many people know this, but I graduated a semester early from high school because I was bullied and felt safe on a daily basis. So I understand that kind of fear. It's terrifying, but it also makes you wonder what kind of households these kids, these bullying kids, are coming from. Are they learning this vitriol and violence from their parents? Is that where are the parents telling them this? Or are they just simply being bullied at home and they need a place?
I would like to know the breakdown of the percentage of people who are feeling harassed and discriminated based on the type of school they go to. Is it public school? Is it private school?
Yeah.
Is it religious school? About that in the survey, but I didn't see them do the breakdown, just where the students came from.
Yeah, because for example, maybe the discrimination is more prevalent in charter school, religious charter schools, for example, or public school, of course. But there's also private school. I'm lucky enough to went to a secular, mostly Reformed Jewish populated high school back in the day when I was a little zygote, and I never really got that much discrimination. But on the other hand, I feel like there are a lot of motivation, a lot of kids who learn from the red pilling or conservative or TERF community through social media, through TikTok, through whatever they hear from their peers. And also, unfortunately, I have to say that homophobia seems to be very ingrained in the early development of adolescence because they either consider it to be unknown and therefore scary and therefore evil, and parents have abdicated these tasks of teaching these people.
Except that has also changed a million years ago when I was in high school, it was a very different situation. But now they see things on TV, positive examples on television. So I think that, I'm not sure if that's affecting them and more of their classmates are coming out because they feel safer to do that. So
there's a few, just looking at this survey as like a research director that has done surveys, including with the LGBT community, My questions were like, one, I don't know what this data says over time because like I've seen ever since I was a kid, like on the LGBTQ commission in Massachusetts, like the data of queer kids feeling bullied and homophobic has been very high. So I want to know if it's increasing or decreasing. I also want to know what it is compared to straight kids. Like, because when I did like with restaurant workers, LGBTQ like harassment, it was obviously the queer people got homophobic issues way more often, but the straights got it a lot too. And that helped me understand that like some of what we're dealing with is more community-wide towards everyone. But if you're just like, if transphobic stuff is happening to just trans kids, that's a very specific situation that you as a school would have to handle differently than if they're being transphobic to everyone. Which isn't saying that kids should be transphobic to anybody, just learning what's going on. And I didn't get to know what was going on with this survey.
Also, kids are cruel, and people are, and you know, and people can be face transphobic abuse just because, for example, a girl who was too tomboy, she likes sports, and therefore suddenly she's a man. And also, I want to know how many bullies are we talking about here? In one school, one bully can spoil the lives of 40 different students.
That's true.
So, I mean, prevalent bullying, yes, but how many of them are the culprits is also something that I want to take a look at.
There tends to be reasons why kids are bullies and cruel. Like, it's not the idea that, like, you know, kids just want to be mean to each other. You tend, like, as someone who's had parents that have been in the schools, like, the kids that act out the most tend to come from bad situations.
Right.
Like, they might be hungry when they're at school. They might be in dirty clothes. The horror stories my parents would tell me at the dinner table as a kid would just blow your mind. But also like how the school acts. If the school's being very aggressively on top of students, that can also lead to kids acting out.
Looking back, and I had some mixed experiences, especially in junior high and then high school. You know, where are the teachers and administrators? Why aren't they patrolling or policing it more? I mean, they can't be everywhere at every time, but certainly I recall back a few instances where teachers just sort of let it happen, even on the school bus. And, you know,
and there is a difference.
Abuse.
Yeah, there is a difference between like aggressively just telling a kid not to say it and teaching them. Like when I was a substitute teacher, I would have kids tell me I was a faggot, like honestly to my face. But like, some people would be like instantly go to the office, and I'm like, well, let's actually talk and get to know what a gay person is actually like. Yeah. And the kid that called me a faggot at the beginning of the school year thought I was a wonderful person and loved gay kids at the end of it because I didn't do the whole aggressive like I'm just going to punish you. I'm like, well, why do you think that? Where are you getting that from? Like, kids need to they want to learn, and they want to learn in ways that they can understand and want to relate to society.
I mean, but on the other hand, I mean, I think that a lot of educators are not. There's not an indictment of all educators, but some educators definitely look the other way, or even subordinate behavior when we're talking about we are talking about people who, these days being an educator is hard, and it's very difficult to find the right person to be an educator to begin with. Public school teachers are resigning in droves. Coaches are now being roped into.
That's why they have a license, you know, licensed professional.
But more than that, I'm asking, you know, what are the quality of the educators, and the fact that there's also a larger structural problem here. Remember, now we have a Department of Education that now thinks that probably punishing bullies is not somehow DEI. And, you know, we are talking about an administration who wants to encourage bullying. These people literally outright saying on social media, bring back bullying so that the kids will conform to their societal norms, not to stand out, not to come out. They want us push us all back into the closet and live a miserable life so that they can establish their right-wing utopia.
But also, don't forget, there's also the the increase in religious extremism. I mean, there are teachers who are probably getting degrees at Liberty University or Wheaton fucking College, and the worst of the worst, and then they're teaching in public schools.
That's part
and they're bringing that into it too.
That's part of Christian nationalism. They want to populate the education
and get on the school board.
And
I mean, like, just to be clear,
don't get me started with school.
Christian nationalists love money, and if you love money, teaching is probably not the place to go to right now. And that is the lack of teacher pay is a big one. On the whole, like we want to indoctrinate our kids to act a certain way. if you really want your classroom to be in chaos, that's exactly what you do, is try and tell them what to think.
Right.
But I just want to end it on one last thing. If you are a queer kid, any kid, and you're experiencing bullying, you're experiencing this like harassment, like obviously if you feel comfortable, talk to parents and teachers, but please remember, it really does get better, especially if you're queer. Go and find a place that has other queers. Run to New York City. Run to South Florida. It gets better, kids. That's the one thing I just want to leave us on.
Chicago, San Francisco, a lot of places, hey, even in the middle of the country, they have blue dots.
Yeah, I'm sure these kids know how to Google where to go to have a good gay time.
I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up politics. Melania Trump backs LGBTQ plus rights while supporting Supreme Court ruling on trans athlete bans. First Lady Melania Trump is drawing attention after voicing support for LGBTQ plus rights while also supporting the U.S. Supreme Court's decision allowing states to restrict transgender girls from competing on girls' and women's sports teams. In a post on Twitter referencing the court's ruling, Melania wrote, quote, "As many of you may know, I fully support the LGBTQIA plus community, but we also must ensure that our female athletes are protected and respected. America, we can support the rights of LGBTQIA plus community and also protect opportunities for female athletes. Respect everyone and keep girls' sports fair. Both ideals are essential," end quote. The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that Idaho and West Virginia may continue enforcing laws limiting girls' and women's sports teams to athletes based on biological sex. The ruling was criticized by the ACLU, which posted on Blue Sky, quote, "The Supreme Court ruled that states can ban transgender girls from school sports. This is a devastating ruling for trans students across the country who simply want the freedom to play with their friends," end quote. Well, Melania only got it half right, which is not a surprise. But go ahead.
Also just how both sides of her mouth she's speaking. She's literally naming that she supported LGBTQIA community, while on the other side of the mouth is like, T doesn't apply.
Well, is anyone else?
But let's give Larry has the right. Is there any other comments you wanted to make?
Well, of course, but that's okay. We're enthusiastic about this story. So, I mean, one of the things I wanted to say too was, unfortunately, there's still this misinformation out there that trans athletes are all strong and steroidal, so to speak. And it's if they're on any kind of hormone replacements, that's going to impact things. I think it's such a small percentage of the population, and school sports really should be about socialization, camaraderie, having a good time, the best time of your life in school. If I could go back, even though I talked about bullying before, there were some times in school where I would go back in a heartbeat just to go back for that moment.
Well, like it says in the story, playing with their friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, is anybody else at this table among the many who knew that First Lady Miasma fully supports the LGBTQIA community? I mean, where did that come from?
Look,
I was completely in shock. And does she know that the T in LGBTQIA doesn't stand for tramp or trollop? I mean, bitch, look it up.
But it's also worth pointing out that this administration, just like the first Trump administration, they keep saying that they are gay friendly. Trump is notoriously Trump waved a reversed upside down rainbow flag in front of him during the first campaign. They claim that they love gay people. They staff with Bissett.
He's a homosexual. He's not gay. He's a homosexual. There's a big difference.
I am not disagreeing with you.
Yes.
I'm saying that the administration like to put up tokens to signal that they're pro-LGBTQ. One of their greatest donors is Peter Thiel, another homosexual.
Self-hating homosexual.
So they always build a shield. Like, you can't say that I'm anti-gay. Look at all these queers I appoint to the government, without realizing that we all see the transparency of it, that these people are not working or advocating for our community. They're actively working against it, or at the very least ignore it. And with Melania, I'm not surprised. I mean, this is another party line statement that just come out and say, I support gay people. Not all gay people, just gay people who agrees with me.
Yes, and one with Melania, empty words, honey. Empty words.
Yes.
I don't care I don't want your sympathy. Go F yourself is what I think to that. You're literally part of an administration going after people, going after us. I do think it's very much a strategy for the Republican Party to decide to have gay men around while attacking trans people, because it's a very common thing to divide and conquer. The British used to do this. Ask Bobby, he can tell you all about it later. You know the British. But seriously, they want to divide us. They want gay men to be like, oh, the Trump administration's great, and they want trans people to say, well, the gay men have the privilege. And like, in reality, they're trying to get us to fight amongst ourselves when the real enemy is both Donald Trump and his wife and the rest of the gang.
Remember that they even have a trans person as a token supporter, Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh yeah.
Dear First Lady, be less best.
I'm Bobby Huen, and let's queer up the worldview. Niger arrests dozens in LGBTQ plus crackdown after new law criminalizes same-sex relations. Niger's military government is facing growing international criticism after dozens of people were reportedly arrested following the country's first ever law criminalizing same-sex relations. Speaking with The Guardian, local media report that up to 40 people have been arrested, with 16 men, including high-ranking military officials, imprisoned since the new penal code took place in February. The law allows prison sentences of up to 10 years for same-sex relations and up to 20 years for participating in organizing or supporting LGBTQ plus organizations or same-sex marriages. An anonymous source working with HIV services described the situation as a witch hunt, adding, quote, LGBTQ plus populations are keeping a low profile, have gone into hiding because they are at risk. We have lost contact with many, end quote. The source also warns that the crackdown has disrupted HIV prevention efforts, leaving many without access to condoms, HIV testing, or PrEP. Human rights groups Frontline Defenders said it is deeply concerned by the development and urged Nigeria's authorities to repeal laws that criminalize people based on their sexual orientation or gender identity. All right, for those who are not well versed in, what Niger is, let's just step a primer. Niger is a country in Africa. It is a former French colony, not to be confused with Nigeria, which is a former British colony. Until now, they actually don't have anti-sodomy laws. As a matter of fact, since France never had anti-sodomy laws since the Napoleonic era, 1791, I believe. Don't quote me on that one, though. So French colonies back in the age of colonization, they don't have it either. So this is not a case of British Victorian anti-sodomy values filtered down. And this is, however, possibly the culprits of basically anti-Western sentiment, because a lot of times these quote-unquote anti-Western groups or anti-Western governments generally want to lump LGBTQ plus identity into some kind of decadent Western import thing, except that indigenously in pre-colonial Africa, there have been instances of people who are identified openly as LGBTQ. In ancient Egypt, we found a tomb that celebrated a literal male couple. They found a whole tomb celebrating that with murals and everything. So I'm not saying that applies to every place in Africa. After all, it's a very big continent. But this kind of anti-gay drive based on so-called anti-Western values is usually bunk, because it historically doesn't add up.
I will concede that for once this is not England's fault, which normally you can get away with England's fault.
Blame England,
however, it might be America's fault.
Well,
because,
that's what I was going to say, and you know what I talked to you about earlier? Don't take my thunder, girl. So what people should remember about Niger is, how did this military get here? Who has been propping that military up? Now, the U.S. government does not support the coup that happened, But the U.S. government has been supporting Niger's military for decades. When there was the whole Iraq war lead up, they had all this stuff about the yellow cake in Iraq, and they worked with Niger to come up with that BS. Like, this is, once again, American imperialism tends to create a lot of the problems we're seeing in the world. And this is horrific that Nigeria's government is doing this. But why do you think we're where we are today with Niger?
While I would concede that America can be partially at fault, right now, though, since the 2023 coup, U.S. troops and French troops have been expelled from Niger. Do you know who they replaced it with?
Whether Iran?
Russian.
The Ruski.
Russian mercenaries, specifically from the Wagner group, the group that also helped invade Ukraine, is the driving force that expelled U.S. and French troops and expand Russian influence in the region. So to say that this is America's fault now that they have been in power for 3 years, now suddenly this anti-sodomy law come up, I'm not entirely sure that can be directly correlated. However,
they just trained the military now in charge.
But however, guess which country also has similar laws that punish people for promoting same-sex marriage or participating in LGBTQ civil society? Russia.
Soviets, yes.
Yes, I mean, the certain Russians.
Still Soviets.
Okay, any other comments, Larry, before we...
No, I think you guys covered it tonight.
Well, don't do military coups to be homophobic. LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up trans rights. Trump administration threatens Kansas school district funding over trans student privacy policy. The Trump administration is threatening to withhold federal funding from Kansas City, Kansas public schools over its policy protecting transgender student privacy. The U.S. Department of Education and Justice say the district's anti-outing policy violates parents' rights by limiting disclosure of students' transgender status. Education Secretary Lyndon McMahon said, quote, "Thanks to this new partnership, the department is working more closely than ever with DOJ to ensure schools are protecting children and respecting parental rights," end quote. Assistant Attorney General Harmet Dillon added, quote, "This Department of Justice will pursue all available avenues to force Kansas City's compliance with federal law and our Constitution," end quote. The school district has not publicly responded, nor should they have to. It is basic common sense to protect a student's privacy. And when it comes to this quote-unquote Department of Injustice, all I have to say to that is half these prosecutors are going to end up being indicted, disbarred, or going to jail. But I'm sure you all have thoughts on it.
I mean, I love that they always use parental rights, but never consider the parental rights of the trans students involved. It is always about parents' rights of the other students who are not really affected, but want to find out or out the
to be clear, Bobby, no, they're talking about outing kids to their parents who might not be supportive of them being trans.
Which is also terrible, but there are supportive parents out there too.
Yes. Well, I firmly believe that parental rights are parental wrongs.
Yeah, well, and retaliation based on, the control that continues with the Trump administration is just abhorrent. It's just...
Exactly.
And also, I just wonder what Linda McMahon has the credentials to become the Department of Education.
None. Zero. Zip.
Yeah. We all wrestle with why she's there.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. New Elle series highlights positive LGBTQ plus teen representation beyond coming out stories. Legally Blonde fans can now stream Elle from the world of Legally Blonde on Prime Video, a prequel series following teenager Elle Woods. While the show explores Elle's struggle to fit in after moving to Seattle, cast members say it also delivers meaningful queer representation. Gabrielle Policano, who uses she/they pronouns, is playing Liz in the show. She said, quote, "Something really exciting about the show is that we see an openly queer character who's also 16 that is actually doing okay, in the sense that this story is not focused on her being gay. She's just a person who happens to be gay," end quote. The 8-episode series premiered July 1st, and a second season was confirmed earlier this year. Well, I hope they can get someone to portray a teenage version of Jennifer Coolidge's character Paulette, too. That'd be great.
Well, despite the hot dog jokes that we cannot use in a high school setting, I really like the idea that a lot these shows are starting to incorporate LGBTQ characters without making a big deal out of it, like not shine a light on that. This is the gay kid instead of just it's a kid who happens to be gay. I find that very refreshing. I find that it still continues to be refreshing. On the other hand, does that mean that they might get less storyline or less? I mean, we still want queer-focused storylines once in a while, but we do not necessarily have to lean into stereotypes or, make offensive jokes. I mean, we've been there, done that, right?
And it is a difficult line because my understanding is the character doesn't identify as non-binary, but like early 90s, there was a lot of experimentation on pronouns where instead of they, them, it was more the, their was the terms that we were trying at the time. So but you have to be careful because people today don't understand that. So unless you really set that up. But my honest reaction to the show is there is no need for this show. I do not need to know about Elle's high school experience. We don't need to bleed every ounce of potential TV shows out of every piece of quote-unquote intellectual property out there. I don't care what Elle was doing in high school.
Well, it was a movie, it was a stage musical, and now it's a TV series.
And
a prequel. It's a TV prequel.
So no FOMO for you as a homo?
No FOMO for this homo.
No, but I just want to end the note and saying that, the problem is that now that there's so many networks, so many on-demand services, that we are scratching the bottom of the barrel for some kind of IP to derive instead of creating, I don't know, original ideas. I mean, I finally watched the movie The Backrooms recently because it was an original idea.
Great idea.
It is, it is not something that is redone 16,000 times over.
Yes.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the world view. Royal family faces backlash after Queen Camilla meets J.K. Rowling on final day of Pride Month. The British royal family is facing backlash after sharing a photo of Queen Camilla meeting Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling on the final day of Pride Month. The meeting took place at the Palace of Holyrood House in Edinburgh, and according to the royal family's official Instagram account, focused on, quote, a shared passion for books and a deep commitment to children reading for pleasure, end quote. The post added that the pair, quote, discussed the importance of ensuring that young people have access to books, end quote. Critics questioned the timing, with one commenter asking, quote, all young people or only some young people, end quote. Well, there's a few things to take away here. I mean, first of all, certainly the representation, but doing a little research on Camilla, and this is the first time I've ever cracked Google for her. Sorry. But she has 3 people who book her engagements, 2 who are, her right hands, and then she has someone that's affiliated with the British military. So I think it's kind of appalling and in bad taste. I'm shocked that I like to think that her husband is a little bit more worldly, and but that's
shade.
But he made his bed, and we all know that.
Exactly. Now, I just have to say, as an Irish American socialist with a Welsh last name, I speak on behalf of thousands of years of ancestors. We could have told you so about this one, kids. My God, of course the royal family was acting this way. And it reminds me of an old saying to use, to use another commie saying, better dead than purple.
Oh, but anyways, I'm going to push back on that one. I'm just going to say, yeah, Diana would have never. And I mean, Diana was one of the first British royals to openly greet and embrace HIV positive people. She would have been years on the ground about this, and basically that turf. No, I'm not meeting her in Pride Month. But
well, maybe like King Charles, Rowling just wanted to be a tampon for the Queen.
Oh God!
Although at Camilla's age, that leaky ship has sailed.
Oh!
There's one other thing I'll say while we all digest that. They did push Diana out, Bobby.
That's true.
But she never stopped being the people's princess. And she's had the Princess Diana title to the very end.
Yes.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Madonna reportedly set for surprise Pride in London appearance. Madonna is reportedly being lined up for a surprise appearance at Pride in London on Saturday, although sources say it would not be a live performance. The 67-year-old pop icon is rumored to appear on the main stage in Trafalgar Square, where about 1.8 million people are expected to attend. An unnamed source told The Sun that organizers are playing it by ear. Quote, "She is not going to be performing like she did in New York. It's more about her coming out, speaking to the crowd, and then heading off. They're expecting absolute pandemonium if they pull it off, but it would be incredible for everyone going to the Pride event in London," end quote. Neither Madonna or Pride in London organizers have confirmed the reported appearance. Well, for one thing, is it a surprise performance if we hear it from The Sun? And also, The Sun is a notorious British tabloid. They make up crap all the time, so I'm not entirely trusting it. On the other hand, Madonna show up in Pride events, fork found in kitchen. She just did one on Times Square, sponsored by Grindr. I mean, good for her to keep up with a hookup app that everyone stopped using about 10 years ago. But
well, this will give Madonna another opportunity to haul out that dreadful British via Michigan accent that she used to wield like a weapon of mass destruction
she had a castle in
the
Scotland.
early 2000s. Do you remember that?
Yeah, she had a castle in Scotland. She might have adapted.
Well, I think, one, it sounds like she's going to do a speech instead of a performance, and that's great. I assume she's not being paid for this, and I think when we talk about celebrity, the Pride, I do think we should be setting a new expectation of like, hey, we understand that if you need some travel costs maybe, but like, often we see celebrity that Pride, and they charge a fortune, and it causes all this stress onto Pride institutions. Like, I hope more of you do what Madonna does and goes there, hopefully for free, and maybe you can all start to maybe sing a tune or two for free too, instead of like bankrupting these Pride groups.
Or 1.8 million people expected to attend. That is huge. I mean, I think we just had Stonewall Pride here, and that's 50,000.
I suppose they could pay for the song by like putting the little hat around 1.8 million people.
Hungary just had their Pride too. It was about 200,000 people. So for me, good for London. I used to live there. I love it. Trafalgar Square, great. I love it. I look forward to seeing the footage from TikTok.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the world view. New poll finds the UK support for same-sex marriage reaches 76%. A new YouGov UK poll shows support for same-sex marriage has reached 76% among UK adults. The survey found that over 50% strongly support same-sex marriage, while 25% tend to support. In contrast, only 7% strongly oppose, and 8% said they don't know. Support has increased significantly since the tracker began in 2019, when 45% of respondents strongly supported marriage equality. Same-sex marriage has been legal in England and Wales since 2014, followed by Scotland later that year, and Northern Ireland in 2020. The findings contrast with recent U.S. polling. A June 2026 Gallup survey found only 65% of Americans support legal same-sex marriage. Well, it's nice to hear something coming out of the British Empire that isn't about like Keir Starmer doing something awful to his own people or Camilla hanging out with the devil.
But I also want to point out, though,
or
that
Camilla, I should say, sorry.
I also want to point out that the survey figures is very encouraging. On the other hand, it is often used by conservative, actually right-wing organizations in Europe, including England, to advocate for racist anti-immigration policies. That actually notorious happened first in the Netherlands, because they the birthplace of same-sex marriage, where they are saying that these immigrants coming from Asia Minor and North Africa are opposed to gay rights, and they often highlight anti-LGBTQ hate crimes committed by immigrants in order as an excuse of basically saying that we need to limit immigration or establish racist policy against people of color. So I'm not saying that this is not encouraging. I just want our American audience to adopt like a more nuanced lens when it comes to this, because a lot of people associate American support of same-sex marriage to social progressivism, but not necessarily in England and in other parts of Europe.
Well, I would like to say thanks, UK, for putting the US to shame. Thank you.
Thank you again, UK, for really reminding us just how low the bar is to be a decent nation. I mean, just Google what happened after Brexit. These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ community.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Alex Morash, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Gregg Shapiro, Larry Farver, and Dr. Bobby Huen. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ family, we wish you a good night and a happy 4th of July.